Keeping venomous reptiles is an unforgiving hobby, requiring proper training and lots of experience. One simple mistake can be the difference between life and death. Remember, the most venomous snake in the world is the one that just bit you. There are no venomous snakes with training wheels. Just because you see viperkeeper handle snakes a certain way does not mean you should try it too.
Okay, today's plan. Well, let me give you the sort of my thought process, and space is very tight at the lair. It's, I am on the 3-step program from Venomous Snakes Anonymous and such. The collection is getting a bit smaller some days, other days it's not. So what we have to do, or what I'm planning on doing, the Congo water cobras, and I call them Congo water cobras, according to Wolfgang Worcester, they're genetically very close to Annulata, the ringed water cobra. Right now, there's no plan to giving them their own subspecies or anything like that. Thud just got his water dish cleaned and stuff, and when I opened the door, he thought I was going to feed him, so he came at me mouth open. As usual, it's expected, so I hit him in the face with the water bottle, and...
Well, you didn't literally hit him in the face.
Well, okay, yes, let me rephrase that. I don't hit snakes in the face with a water bottle. I mean, okay, sometimes I might if it's really, really a dangerous situation. But snakes are conditioned by your actions, and it's an ever on action-reaction sort of relationship. So if I go into Thud's cage, Thud says, "Oh, Viperkeeper's visiting. He must be bringing food." Well, that isn't the case 100% of the time. So if I have to go in a snake's cage, and it can be any snake, and they present to me with a feeding response, I will get the spray bottle and I will miss them in the face. Even a ringed water cobra that's aquatic doesn't like to get misted in the face. It's a big put off, and he immediately stopped his feeding response in its tracks. Very useful tool. Okay, so because of space issues and keeping more than one snake in a cage presents, under most circumstances, a feeding problem. It's more dangerous for me. It's more dangerous for the two inhabitants, or more, in some cases, more than two inhabitants of the cage, because snakes will, and I've seen it and I've documented lots of cases of food aggression. So this is a problem. I've seen snakes have food in their mouth and their cage mate finish their meal before they did. They would come over and slam the other one right in the head, full fang assault, just because they're eating and the other one isn't. That's all you can account it or basically say is it's food aggression. So with these water cobras over here, the Congo variety, which are hiding now because I fed them earlier, there's a pair. There's 1.1 in there, and I would really like to separate them so I can meter out and make sure everybody's eating an appropriate amount. Now this morning when I fed them their fish, and also I threw in some rat pinks, which is nice because 3 out of the 4 rat pinks have been devoured. I don't know who's eating, and I did see both water cobras on either end of a shiner. So this is a problem, fighting over food. So I'm going to separate them. In order to separate them and keep them in close proximity, which is the ideal case, this large rough death adder from Papua New Guinea that I have, a Canthopus rugosus, is going to get relocated downstairs in the bin where all the other death adders are located now. The death adders, I'm just sort of warehousing for now. They're perfectly happy with it because I bring them food, they have water, and I clean their cage. The only thing that's missing is a mate. So what I'm going to do now is attempt to get this fat ass
Big Mama.
Big Mama. Now, I've tried to breed her, but when I've put a male in there, and the males are a bit smaller, she's raced over and immediately tried to eat the males. So I am no longer considering her breedable. So I am just going to put her in the bin and take her sort of off display, and we can still visit with them when I feed them in the bins, but this way I can use this cage for the second water cobra and have things a bit more organized. And what we will do is we will reshuffle the stack so the two water cobras are adjacent. It's the same sort of thing that I like to do in the rack. I like to keep all the same species or groups together, so this way when you're going through the rack and you're working, you don't accidentally think that you're going to pull a squam bin and you actually pull, you know, a bin containing a taipan or something like that. It's just for safety reasons as well as organization, because everybody gets a different kind of food or a different size food. In this way you can organize your feeding schedule and your what you thaw and what you have ready to go. So without any further blabbing, I am going to attempt to remove this female. Now, of course, she is looking at me and she inched forward like, oh boy, there's going to be food. So, she is not going to be happy, but she is a force to be reckoned with. You notice I'm not putting my fingers near the glass to remove the glass with my fingers, because she will see something, ooh, pink rats, and be on me in a heartbeat. So I will attempt to get her out, and oh, we're caught alluring. I'm so sorry, sweetie. Yes, that's the only part of her that moves relatively fast, because she's really got a big butt, and she sort of crawls along like a puff adder, and we're using rectilinear motion. I know, I'm sorry. I've had her for so long, and she doesn't really appreciate being moved about, as we can see. Come on. We don't want to fall from the 40th floor here. Come on. That's exactly what you're going to do, and I'm not going to put my hand over the top part, because you'd be surprised how vertical they can actually go. I know, we're upset. You know, I always tried to take and think how the snake feels whenever I do anything else. They get terribly frightened, and this is no exception. So now I'll take her downstairs and put her in the bin that we just prepared for her so she can get used to the bin life. I think she'll like it better because she won't have to curl around the heat rock back there to get her the temperature that she likes. Now notice, my snakes don't get burnt on heat rocks. I don't know, you know, you ball python keepers have stupid snakes. That's all I can say. I've been using heat rocks for years and never had a snake get burnt with them. So that's all I'll say. Once again, viperkeeper assaults the ball python keepers. This is life. Since she has a relatively fat butt, I'm going to try using my friend John Zagel's flat hook that he sent me. It's made for snakes with large scale spreads, so you don't hurt them. This is another John Zagel hook that I picked up. It's not a signature viperkeeper hook like the one I used upstairs, but he does make very nice hooks. Come on. Come on. I know, this is scary. Oh, yes. Oh, you don't like that, do you? Oh, nope. No hanging off my leg. Here you go, big butt. You really want to hit the floor, don't you? Come on, no snake hockey. There you go. Okay, so she's a big girl, as you see. I've cut her way back to very small food items. It's just that she gets no exercise. This is the problem. Once you get a snake obese, unless you starve them for an entire year, they're not going to lose weight. It is what it is. So try not to march down that road. I screwed up with her. This is a very large female rugosis that I've had for a very long time. I tried to breed her with a male, but Lori and I had the ultimate panic. We had to stop her from stalking him and going to eat him. We rescued him a few minutes after he was put in the cage with her. Subsequently, I've never bred her. As you can see, there's a shed. Because she's such a big girl, I don't feed her very much. Trying to get her weight down. But, you know, these are landmines, venomous ones. They don't have a whole lot of activity. Therefore, if you overfeed them, they do go quite large and have quite a bit of body mass. There you go, girlie. So we give her something small to eat every other week, and in hopes that she can slim down a bit. So we're over here at the coral cobra cage. I see a little face over there. That's the male he hasn't eaten in quite some time. So we'll see if he's interested. Oh, here comes the crazy bitch. Come on.
We're going to bite everything in sight except the mouse.
Yes.
And we're going to come out and visit.
You got it? Oh. See, now the male doesn't even get anything because she's really the snake that wears the pants. Now, understandably, she produced, you know, a clutch of 7 or 8 eggs. So I'm trying to get her fed to the point where, you know, she's got her pre-egg laying weight back, and since they're together, I'm probably reasonably certain they'll reproduce again. So I will, you know, of course she has to look away from the camera.
It's kind of an interesting view. Yeah, she's having trouble getting that down. It's slipping out.
Yeah, well, her mouth always is. Is that helpful? There you go. Now, coral cobra's venom varies in its level of toxicity. I got bit by a female coral cobra about this size. I was trying to be clever, and she was more clever than I was, and nailed me on the index finger. Had absolutely no neurotoxic symptoms, but it was very painful, and it lasted, you know, a couple days. It required some analgesia because it really was. I looked like, you know, my finger looked like it was E.T.'s finger, all swollen and glowing hot. Just strictly a cytotoxic effect. No tissue loss, no slough, but it was painful. So I don't want to repeat that. However, another local person here in Pennsylvania spent 3 days in ICU with some very neurotoxic effects from another Cape coral cobra just like this. So, you know, it's the old saying, it's a box of chocolates. You don't know what you get until you bite into it. Well, you know, with a lot of venomous snakes, you don't know what's going to happen until it's underway. And I just read a paper that they actually recommend South African polyvalent. Now, come on, I'm trying to give this to you. There's no reason to get frantic about it. Come on, there you go. You got it? All right, now I'm going to work around here and support it so it doesn't hit the deck. So, if you had severe neurotoxic effects, there may be some value in using a vial or two of South African polyvalent to counteract the bite. However, I am not certain that the risk of horse serum type reactions is worth it. You know, you may be able to counteract the neurotoxic effects since it's a postsynaptic neurotoxin. You may be able to use tensilon or neostigmine to negate the neurotoxic effects, or, you know, they could just intubate you for a few days like they did with this other fellow until his respiratory centers recover from the neurotoxin that was naturally cleared by your immune system. So you have to weigh all those things in the course of treating snake bites. Oops, I'm sorry, girlie.
Wee.
Yeah. Come on, I'll give you one more. These are, of course, very beautiful, and I've got 6 very cute little babies of hers next door. I think half of them have fed on their own right now, and I'm pretty sure that Lori is. The rest will start feeding, and we'll start growing them up, and once they're well started, I'll work on finding some homes for them. Come on. No reason to get excited. I'm going to give you this. Just open your mouth. There you go. Alright, why don't you take that inside at this point? Come on, don't get all butthurt because I'm touching you. There we go. Come on. Oh, you got. Oh, I'm gonna just squish your head in there. Come on, you dumbass. Okay. We'll let her go. I'm not sure if I can actually safely feed the male with her present. I may have to remove her.